Hey everybody, it's the red zone. It's the red zone. It's Thursday. Working together, making sure we learn from each other. Josh Tolat, proud principal of Memorial Pathway Academy in Garland, USA, Garland ISD, Northern Dallas. We're here today on Thursday, like always, with the roundtable from leaders from all over the United States, working together, ensuring that we bring the best tools in our tool chest, presenting them out so that other people can beg, borrow, and steal from our ideas. Because you know what? Whether you're in Hawaii, whether you're in Alaska, whether you're in Maine or you're in Florida, we're all facing the same adversity right now after the pandemic. And now we need to learn from each other. So please like us, please follow us, and most importantly, let us know in the comments where you're coming from. We need to hear from you. Hey, Dean, have we heard anybody from South Dakota? Have we
Nothing
heard
from
anybody
South.
from Iowa or Idaho? Come
No,
on.
no, but we have Wisconsin covered tonight, and
Hey,
that's a good thing. We had Alaska on our last show. We're still waiting to break into California. That's coming next as well. Hey, it's great to see you, Josh, as always. And Thursday nights are a lot of fun because we get a chance to really branch out and just connect with people around the country that do exactly what we do and really kind of sell the best practices of what we're all about. So my name is Dean Packard. I'm the principal of Charlton Middle School in Charlton, Massachusetts. So welcome from New England. Great to see all of you. Josh, how has your week been? You've had a good week. What's going on down there
we
in
had a
Texas?
great week. You know what? We're honoring, hey, librarians from all over the U.S. Hope you're having a great week. Hey, assistant principals was there for 14 years. We respect you, we honor you, and most importantly, because you do soccer duty on Tuesday nights. God bless you guys. Or freshman football on Saturday mornings. God bless you guys. So, yes, we've had a great time. We already started state testing. So it is
Oh,
what it is.
oh,
We're doing all that stuff right now, the local items, but you know what? Irregardless of, I chose leadership and I chose to be part of the Jaguars. And we had a couple of graduates this week, so things are rocking and rolling.
Josh, I'm glad you said about that state testing. So every year before the testing starts, I bring in all the students. We talk about the why and the trajectory of their effort and their attitude. And really, the only two things that matter. Most of these kids, as they get ready for this testing process, they have the skill sets. They really do. It's them connecting on why they have to do it. And then I talk about representation. Just represent the true you to the highest level that you can. Nobody has to be perfect. Take the anxiety out of it and just showcase the talents that you have. And you know what? 9 times out of 10, kids come in with a different attitude and just kind of rock it. So, you know what? It's part of public education. It's part of what we do, and we have to be prepared for that. And that is part of the job. But also being at that game on a Saturday morning, being at that concert on a Friday night, doing all those other things and being visible and marketing and selling your school is also so important. So, hey, it's great to see you. Why don't we get rocking and rolling tonight? We got two great guests. Why don't we do this? We're going to bring them both in. And Josh, why don't you take the honors? And we're going to bring in both Angelica and Adam at the same time. So, Josh, kick it over to you.
Awesome. We had two great guests. That is the power and the love of Twitter, how professional learning networks are created. So I met these two in team members, now part of Unlock the Middle through the beautiful thing that's known as Twitter. And we reached out because I saw their Twitter feed, the beautiful things that they're doing. So before us, we have Mr. Adam DeWitt from Wisconsin. We have Wisconsin out of the way. Check.
Another
And
box checked.
and right now, and we also have the awesome superintendent here presenting to us all the knowledge. You know, there's nothing better than seeing the big picture view of from the major directors. From I mean, it doesn't. We all know what a superintendent does. Dr. Ramsey, thank you very much for being here. We appreciate your attendance, your knowledge to the table. Adam, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, thanks for having me on. I hail from behind the cheddar curtain in Wisconsin, and I am glad that I could help check your box tonight. Um,
Where's the
I,
hat? Isn't there a cheddar cheese hat you're supposed to be wearing right now?
there is, but after we moved into this house, we kind of downsized. We had a big old house in town. We moved into a small house. I can't find my stuff. I think some of my friends that helped me move, the Bears fans, I think they stole all my Packer stuff and hid it. I think that's what happened. So, yes, this is my first full year at the high school. Up until now, the last 4 years, I've been split between the middle school and high school. So I'm not far removed from your altruistic view of being a middle school principal. And then prior to that, I've been a middle school principal for most of my career, curriculum director, IT director, And then I started teaching down in near Chicago, Illinois, with my good friend Dr. Jeff Prickett, co-host of the Principal Leadership Lab at Heritage Elementary School. And I can't wait to talk about empowerment because I have some good stories. Actually, not a lot of good stories. I have one good piece of advice to share with your listeners because it's catapulted my career forward since my very first interaction with my very first principal.
Great stuff, Adam. Welcome to the show. Glad
Thank you.
you're here with us tonight. Dr. Ramsey, you're up. So I'm going to say something about Friday Night Lights before we even stop. I'm going to come back to that episode.
All right.
Season number 5, episode 1. Never mind. I'll get off of that. Go ahead.
No, that sounds good. So Angelica Ramsey, Superintendent, Midland ISD, absolutely down in West Texas, where football is king. We are working on changing our kind of outlook and making sure that academics is king. And we still fully understand how important athletics are. It's anything that empowers students and provides them outlets is great. But we want to make sure that academics is number one. So I kind of also check your California box because this is my second superintendency. My first superintendency, I'm coming directly from Camarillo, California, the Pleasant Valley School District. So there's your check. I served in California as a superintendent, as an associate superintendent, and a chief academic officer. And previous to that, I started my career in Socorro ISD in El Paso, where I spent many years, 7 years at Socorro High School before being the first principal of Eastlake High School, one of the latest schools in the Socorro ISD. So a lot of deep roots in West Texas, and just happy to be back. I've been here about 14 months and happy to be here with all of you to talk about the real work, what happens on campuses.
So which one did you like better? And all the Texas people are listening right now. If you say California, you're going to be in trouble. Right? But really.
Yeah, they are very two different worlds. In Texas, I have to be careful about what I say. In California, everyone called me Angelica, like the secretary at every school, a parent in the grocery store, not necessarily students, but everyone understood that we worked with one another for students. In Texas, it's a little more hierarchical. And so it's Dr. Ramsey. And so it's a new experience, but I also learned I have to be very careful about what I say because I tend to process by asking questions and thinking aloud. And in Texas, if a superintendent says, I wonder, and whatever it is that you say after that, folks take it as that's the next thing we have to do. So I am learning that I need to be careful about that. And I am teaching this particular district that I am one voice of the school district. Everyone matters equally and that we need to get on the same page. And it's okay to call me Angelica. They're not there yet. So I did appreciate the flatness there, but I really appreciate the funding, the work ethic, the just good hometown, just good people here in West Texas.
Yeah, it's great stuff right there. Really good. Josh, why don't you lead us off here tonight? We'll get into that empowerment thing. And, we all have to look at empowerment and what it means through our lens and how we affect others around us. We're not only talking about staff and students and community members, but about ourselves and how we carry that. We call it that leadership stick. And that we have to really set the tone and set the vision for where we're going. So, Josh, why don't you take it and start off?
The most crucial part of any learning community are team members, from the custodial staff, our cafeteria staff, our bus drivers. I mean, at all levels. But in the end, it's because everyone has a little connection with them. The bus driver early in the morning, the cafeteria worker that gives them their first breakfast on the plate. All those connections, it creates the attitude and the context, the mindset that the child will have there. So it's crucial that we always have that blanket, that Linus blanket I always talk about, to make sure that all our team members feel supported, that they feel whether we're not there at 5:30 in the morning for their bus trip, when they're prepping for their buses, but when they come to our homes, our campuses, that they know we got their back, that our cafeteria workers know we got their back. And most importantly, our team members in the classroom, that they feel that support, whether it be a dry eraser, whether it be a discipline issue, whether it be the temperature in the classroom, whether it be a discipline issue, whatever it is. It's about making everyone feel, I got your back. So I feel that's one of those things that we empower them. We don't micromanage, and everyone has a different definition of that. We all do. Because if I throw it out there on the table, what is your definition of this? We're going to have different definitions of that, just like being at the same place and we see a traffic accident. We all see different things. So, but in my 2 cents, I feel that our staff members in this aspect need to feel that support from the moment that they clock in, from the moment they enter our premise, our home, that they know that we're there. And visibility is the crucial aspect of this. Being visible at the drop off, at cafeteria duty, at events, in the classroom, most importantly for the pedagogy, the delivery of lessons, that we're there and they feel, hey, you know what? He has our back. So it's about the presence and making sure that they feel it. Because we all know in all our chairs here that perception is reality. And if people perceive you're distant and close, it doesn't matter how hard you try, some people always feel that you're too distant or you're too close. That's the reality of our chair. But as long as you know you're doing the concerted effort to hear other people out, that you really mean an open door policy is an open door policy, that you're visible around there, and you look at the mirror and say, you know what? I feel that they feel comfortable with what I'm bringing to the table. What do you think, Adam?
I completely agree. I don't know that anything you said could be found for fault. The transparency, the honesty, you could put those terms as umbrella terms over just about anything that you said. One of the when I was thinking about empowerment before we jumped on tonight, way back, my very first teaching position, my first principal was Dr. Jonas Rivera in the Elgin School District, just a little bit west of Chicago. And she had brought in a bunch of new people. Dr. Jeff Prickett came a year later, and the two of us became buds there. And while we were continuing to grow as young educators, she always said to me, go ahead, just do that. Just don't, if it doesn't work, just don't do it again. And I felt empowered ever since then. And, she wanted me to take risks. And then I went to northern Wisconsin, which is closer to my hometown. I rescued my wife from Illinois, brought her safely behind the cheddar curtain, so we're good. And in a little town called Minocqua, I had another great principal. And she said similar things, like do innovative things for students. If it's good for students, then it's good for us. If it breaks a rule, maybe it bends a rule, but let's just do it. And if it doesn't work, just don't do it again. So I've tried to pass that same legacy of information on to staff members and to students. But I'll tell you what, teachers are cautious creatures. They're not always willing to take a risk. They are afraid, and I think maybe more so than ever recently, these last few months and years. Social media, sometimes our profession has taken a kick in the gut, and I think our teachers are a little bit shy of taking some of those risks. So it's extremely important for building leaders to be able to stand in the gap sometimes between the community and our teachers as they take those risks. But I stand fully by that. Take the risk. If it doesn't work, just don't do it again, especially when your intentions are right. If your intentions are for the good of students and it doesn't go wrong, well, that's okay. That happens, I don't dunk every ball I try to dunk. Well, actually, I don't dunk any of the balls I try to dunk. But if I were to use that'd be a great analogy, right? So,
well, Adam, taking that risk leads to a greater level of student engagement. And I think that any leader, when you walk by a classroom and you see kids talking, you hear that discourse, you see that movement, you see those kids out of their chairs and just being part of the learning, that's a win. And I really get what you're saying, that, teachers right now aren't really as willing to take the risk like they used to. And I get that. Post-COVID has done that to everybody right now. You're in survival mode.
Yeah.
And it's still going to take that full year of getting back into the trenches before you have that. But I love that mentality, because I'll tell you what, that just leads to people, stepping away from that micromanaging to allow them to take those risks, and great things can happen inside of school buildings. There's no doubt.
Yep.
Dr. Ramsey?
Yeah, I mean, I echo everything that all of you said. So as a superintendent, I make it I own my calendar, and it's in a very different way when you work at a district service center than it is at a campus. I don't have a bell to bell, and I don't have that like first period, second period, right? So then my calendar becomes a reflection of my values, and I spend 2 days a week out at schools every single week. Like this week, we just started testing. I didn't want to bother certain schools on Tuesday. Well, then you move it around. Tomorrow, I'll spend the whole day out at our schools. And for me, it's about empowering our campus leaders to understand that they have permission to give their teachers, their staff, their parents, and their students the ability to say yes, even when it sounds crazy. As a campus principal and assistant principal, sometimes I would tell folks, do you need me to put it in writing? Like, I will write you an email that says, you can do this. You're okay. And sometimes you have to. Like, it sounds silly, but like, you just email them, go for it, try that crazy lesson. What's the worst that can happen, as long as you're student centered and it's about helping kids? So I think that that's super important. And then something else that Adam said, like, all of those players have to have all of the information you have so that they actually can be empowered. A thing that I've learned over my years is that many leaders, it isn't that we're smarter, it's that we have more access to more information in a more timely manner. So if we really want to empower everyone else in the system, we tell them everything that we know and when we know it. It's okay to learn alongside, but if you really want to make your teachers feel empowered to make really good decisions, tell them everything they need to know to make a good decision. And same thing with parents. I mean, I happen to be a little crazy. I tell parents, advocate, fight against us. That's okay. It makes us stronger. Here's the information you need, and let's do this thing. I have advisories for students, parents, teachers, support staff, and the community. And I believe in whatever problem exists that you're trying to fix, move it closer to where that problem lies and let those folks figure it out. And then just be honest about that with them, that you're going to support them, whatever crazy decision they make. So I'm all about it.
I like that you said that. And I'm going to ask you to unpack something for me. Your administrative team. We as building-based principals have our team of teachers. That's could be a 70-member team, for crying out loud. It doesn't really matter. Your team leads those types of people. Okay. So how do you empower your principals to feel comfortable about making those decisions that can really sway and move districts? And it's hard because you want everybody heading in the same direction. You want the oars rowing. You want a district improvement plan that leads towards your vision. But as that number one person sitting in that chair, how do you empower them?
By providing support. So making sure that you equitably align your resources, both human capital and resource and actual money. And for us, what we invested in this year was executive coaching for every principal, every assistant principal. That's on top of our aspiring principal academy that we started, our assistant principal academy, our principal academy. Executive coaching that from folks that are outside of the district to learn how to grow as a leader. To us, that's going to pay dividends years from now, because I don't want a school district to be about who the superintendent is. The school district are the people. Superintendents, we know, if we're lucky, I was at my last place as a superintendent 5 years. That's unheard of. But what was important is the systems, processes, and the building of capacity that you do while you're there, because it doesn't matter who comes behind you. That strength isn't that one person, it's the collective. So for us in particular, it was investing in executive coaching alone, no one else. There's no associate superintendent that sits in. It's the principal one-on-one with a coach somewhere. It's assistant principals with coaches. To us, that was huge.
Great stuff. And you mentioned systems, and I love that, because every successful organization has systems in place that everybody is working towards and doing the same manner. And again, it doesn't mean it takes away autonomy. It just creates equity. And when you have equity across like regional school districts, guess what? Everybody has access to the same opportunities, and that's where you win. So great stuff. Josh?
So what do you think, Dean, right now when we're discussing the adult level? Well, what about our customers? What about our students? The reason, our why. We all had, again, I present to you, if I was to say, what is your why? Adam would give me something else. Angelica would give me something else. All of us have a different why that's on the table, including our the adults on our campus, all our team members. So I would say to you all, for me, I mean, I would like to present my why. My why is to make sure, and I work very hard, and I'm very blessed to be at MPA, that it's a at-risk campus for students, teen parents, so on and so forth. that have problems at the comprehensive high school, but also have a middle school with kids that just came in from Vietnam. So I have the whole range of at-risk level kids, and it's how do I make them feel comfortable to make sure that they take those steps closer to what the normal status quo of TEA is in Texas, our diploma, our EOCs, our stars, which are our state tests. But how do I make them feel also to be part of our American culture, part of the system that does provide the American dream? Hey, I was born in another country. I had to learn English. I am the American dream. And I truly believe in pushing that. So, what are we doing as educators to empower our students that they believe that there is a tomorrow, that they believe that the noise that's out there is not the reality, but the focused vision that we could provide them? What are we doing at the campus level to make sure that they get that empowerment? Dean, what do you think about that?
And the why is everything that we have to talk about here, because that's what moves the whole needle, moves the needle for everyone here. So why don't I kick it to Adam first? I'm responding to a couple of people in the chat room, so I apologize. Adam, why don't you take that and run?
Sure, you bet. Well, the why for me, I was not born in a different country, but I still believe that all of those aspects of what makes America great should be taught to all people. I think what Angelica, if I can play on the whole story that we've got going tonight, right? If we were to follow what she said, where the information should be shared and given freely, so all of us have that same information, I think the same thing could be applied to our students. So why is it important for them to know the information? I'll give you a short story. Prior to the beginning of the pandemic, we were looking at models in case the pandemic grew, and we knew that it obviously did. We have some history now, and we were looking at trying to reduce our lunch room size so that we could have smaller numbers of students eating lunch rather than, we only have a building of 300, but that would be 300 students in one cafeteria. So we split it out. Some students went to classrooms. Well, then we just kept that system in place throughout this year, even though we're not masking and, we're still talking about being socially distanced, but I see like 8, 9, 10, 12 kids in like a Ford Fiesta. So I'm not sure that they're social distancing outside of school anyway. But in the cafeteria, I had our executive council from our student council talk to me, and they said, we polled our students and we were wondering if we could ask you if we could go back to one lunch. So tell me more about that. Why? Well, because we're a small school, we all want, they all perform differently, but these students are saying we want to perform well. We're not always on the same track. I don't get to see my friends like I used to in middle school. So if we had one lunch, at least I'm guaranteed a half hour every day with some of my closest friends, even if they don't have the same classes as I have. So we're responding to that. And I think that's a key. If there isn't a reason anymore to do to keep the rule the way it is, then we should adjust to the needs of our students. So next year, our students are going to have one lunch again, like they did prior to the pandemic. That change was led because they knew the why. They weren't mad. They didn't come at me and say, well, you guys are a bunch of adults, a bunch of jerks. They just came with us and said, hey, can we talk about this? So once we heard their why, we were able to make that decision. And I think that's a great foundation for them to understand that you can change the world even at the smallest levels. And then that becomes maybe impactful. Two friends get together at lunch, create ideas that they didn't know they had. And then it spreads and it spreads and it spreads. And, that's the goal. I hope that's what they end up doing. So that's just one example.
Dr. Ramsey, from your lens?
Yeah, I think that a lot of times we tend to think we're doing things for students, but we do it to students, not with them. So just two examples of work that we embarked on this year. We started with the profile of a learner, and that was so that as a school system, we understood what our why was. So we went out into the community, we talked to parents, but we asked our own students, what should the school district do for you by the time you graduate? What characteristics, what attributes, what do you think you should know? That was huge. Once we had that profile, we embarked on our strategic planning process. The strategic planning process did not happen. I have not led one meeting because it's not my plan. Every campus and every department head had meetings, and the principals were asked to have meetings for their student body, because I don't care how young a student is, they can articulate in the best way possible what school should be for themselves, what they need. And then parents, their teachers and staff, and then community meetings. That in itself, I had a meeting today with a student. He's a senior at one of our high schools. And to have a student reach out, email, and say, I'd like a meeting with you. I want to talk to you about some stuff because I want to leave a legacy when I graduate. the fact that he felt comfortable and said, I feel like I know you because of our advisories, and you ask us what we think, and then you actually, I see the district moving in those directions. Those are things that students are going to remember for the rest of their lives. But more importantly, it's going to make our entire system better, because instead of doing things that we think are helping students, we're actually hand in hand, arm in arm, listening to them, and then taking action on those pieces. And so I think that so many times we forget that really critical element, and then we make assumptions about who can talk to us and who can't. It's not just high school students that have an opinion, that can share with us how that particular school can improve. So I think that if that's one thing I could leave with anybody who's watching, like, actually ask your students what they need. Let's not make assumptions. Let's provide them the information they need to make that decision. But that's who we really need to be listening to, because at the end of the day, all of us spend a lot of hours doing this. And I learned from a principal in my last system. He said, leadership is a lifestyle. It's not a job. And so if we're going to embark and be leaders, then let's actually listen to our students.
I think it's you too. Well, sorry.
Go ahead. No, go Adam, go.
What Angelica was saying with, and what I shared were two examples where people met with us and then we made the change and it was in their favor. But sometimes it's not. Sometimes the student can request and it's not. And I think that's still a great learning experience. So here's why. So I want to present to them the why. So we have this rule in place, or this process in place. Some students don't like our grading and assessment practices. We made some changes. But once I explained it to them, they are at least understanding. They may still not like it, but at least they have the knowledge again. I think that maybe there's a theme for the night, like share the information, give it to people.
But don't you want to put that in students' hands? If you think about it for a second, they're our biggest consumers. If schools are going to move, we got to get rid of the thought process that, we've done what we've done for years because that's what we've done. Okay. Breaking out of that, getting into that growth mindset isn't always easy, and it's uncomfortable for a lot of people. But if you want to see the best schools, the schools that buzz from 7:30 in the morning till 9 o'clock at night and have a learning community that is just so tight, it's because everybody has a voice. And that voice is so important. And I love that you're talking to strategic action plans, district improvement plans, school improvement plans. All of those things have to tie together. And they should be representative of all stakeholders. So you're absolutely correct. There's no doubt about that. So let's move for a second. Now let's talk about, how do we empower our parents, our caregivers, get their voice involved. I could speak as a teacher from a long time ago. I didn't want to call a parent. I didn't want to get a parent involved in my business, because I could be called out on something. And I try to tell my staff, get out in front of that. Market your syllabus. Make sure they know what's going on in your class. You want to have fewer concerns? Be so transparent that people are saying, man, I want to be in that class. And I tell you, if you do that, great things happen. So let's kick this down. Let's go to Dr. Ramsey first. From your marketing lens, from that superintendent's seat, what do you do to create a buzz and a buy-in?
Oh man, there's so many things. So I'm going to go really quickly. The first thing that we did is we know who our demographic is. We didn't have everything in English and in Spanish here. Wrong. We were missing 64% of our student body. So what we do every week is there's a weekly message that goes out in English and in Spanish to every single parent and guardian about highlights, celebrations. I want every single week, while we have informational pieces, but I want every single week parents and community members in our district to have 3 positive things to talk about when they talk about Midland ISD. That's huge for us. We didn't have parent liaisons. We budgeted parent liaisons for next school year. We brought in some literacy programs, Latino family literacy program, to get our bilingual parents involved. I think that's been huge. Important things that we did this year that we haven't been able to do in the past is open up our schools for tours. Come see us, come see what's happening. Each school has an allotted time. They can come in. We had an entire big carnival. Every single school, every principal and some staff and some students were there presenting about their schools. Those are things that we do just public relations wise. And then to actually get feedback, two-way communication. we have a parent advisory, and then that meets every other month. And then every month we meet with our Midland Council of PTAs. We meet with them for 30 minutes before their meeting, and it's really like a soups on. So every cabinet member is there. Any question they might have about anything, we provide them information. And then at the end, we task and ask. We're like, okay, please help us by pushing this information out on your social media, on your websites, and then we provide them language. Make it easy. It's a take and go. And that way we have really good information, accurate information about what's happening at the schools. I think those kudos, so that every school is represented in about a month and a half. It takes us about 6 weeks because we have 40 schools in the system, but everyone knows that there are great things happening every single day in the school district. And those parents then turn around and are part of other processes. So we started a lot of committees this year, a facilities committee, a technology committee. We have all kinds of committees. And it's not to stop process, but it's to get more input. It's to have distributed leadership throughout the system. And what we've asked our principals is do that too. It's okay to give up a little bit of control. You're going to be better for it. So bringing them in, providing them information, having district-wide opportunities, and always understanding that you aren't the only public relations officer at your school, that every single student, every single parent, and every single staff member, they are your public relations officers, and they go out there and, it's the story you want to share.
I love it. Great stuff. Adam.
I'm just going to photocopy everything that Angelica just said, because those are some great things. I love the idea of even a position of parent liaison. My system currently isn't as, I don't want to say complicated or complex, but as in place as what she just described. But I think that's okay. I think that in every location has to start at one point and then go forward. I work with another gentleman by the name of Adam Tim. So it's the A team. We're the principal and associate principal at the high school in Oconto. And tomorrow will be our 5th Coffee with the Adams at 8:30. And it's just a time that we usually put something out there. It's on Facebook right now on our school's Facebook page about Coffee with the Adams. Bring some ideas, bring some informal discussion. And what I loved, the past 4 times, we do it in the hallway. We do it intentionally in the hallway. We have a coffee stand set up, usually some fruits and maybe some bagels or something out there to chew on. So that way, some people are nervous. They don't want to ask questions right away. So they're going to eat and drink coffee so they can't be seen. We can't ask them then. So we do it in the hallway because we keep hearing about like inside of a high school or maybe even middle school, like it's drug, sex, and rock and roll, and it's wild and it's chaos. Well, we do it right out in the middle. And every time, without fail, so 4 times we've done it, 4 times this comment has come up. Did you tell the kids that we're coming today? Nope. The teachers don't know either. They might know that we have Coffee with the Adams, but they never know what we're going to do because it's led by the group. If you want to see our tech ed department, we're going to go to tech ed. If you want to see the English department, we'll take you down there. If you just want to stand out here and talk about grading and assessment or where we can go for the future, that's where we're going to go. But our students perform like they do every single day in the hallway. There's not a lot of craziness. I think high school kids are probably past that, jumping up to try to smack the exit sign like my middle school students used to do. But it's great because that same thing happens, and they're seeing it authentically in real time. And then we take them on a tour and we introduce them to people. I'm like, well, I can just go in that classroom. Yep. Yeah, you can go in there anytime you want. So let's go in there. And the teacher greets them. Some of our students will greet them. So I think being as transparent as possible and looking at those community people and bringing them in and showing them, because our small community, many of them have attended Oconto High School back in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s. So now they're seeing the changes. They're seeing the impacts that maybe they had when they were a student, and some of the good things are still in place. And I'd like to think that many more good things are being implemented to continue on with that legacy. So that's one way that we're connecting with the community. I think another way is and I haven't done it yet, so I'll do what I say, don't do what I do. So I know that's not great leadership, but I think it's important for us to serve in terms like a community leadership program, a Lions Club, Kiwanis Club, the Optimist Club, Boys and Girls Club, something, so that they see that we are invested in the community. And sometimes it takes a while to find that right fit. Maybe it's serving on, in Oconto, there's a big celebration every June, and it's called the Copper Culture, and it's a week-long celebration. It's music, and we have a parade, the band plays. Well, I serve, whether it's on the fairgrounds, serving food and drink, but I'm visible, I'm there, and I answer questions. You'd be amazed how many people would attend a parent-teacher conference if it was surrounded around the beer tent. They don't come to school, but I can answer 1,000 questions at the beer tent. So it's just being visible and being available and willing to talk about those questions at any given time. And I love it. I love that part of my job.
No, so when you get a chance to market what you do, that's the business side of my mind that says, what can I do differently? I love that you do that in the hallway coffee conversation. We've been doing it. We do it in the cafeteria. That was fun before COVID. We've been doing it virtually now through a link we send out. Parents at work can come on for 15, 20 minutes, ask questions, connect with student support groups, whatever. But I also think you take the Instagram account, you go live, you walk down the hallway and you say, hey, listen, 5 minutes. I'm going to give you a snippet of what goes on here. Take this out and send it. Very simple way to market great things. So, social media is our best friend, and it can also be our Achilles heel too, if we don't use it correctly. But I can tell you one thing, as Josh would say, everybody has one of these in their hands. So if we can tell our story through it, why not do it for free? So Josh, talk about that for a second and what that looks like for you, because I know you're one of the best in the business.
Well, ultimately, the whole thing is just to add an extension to what Dr. Ramsey and Adam said was pretty much now people that sit in our chair, the principal and the AP. It's what are you promoting that's within your campus? Everybody's, like Dean said, is on this right here. And we need to make sure that our parents who are working 2 jobs, let's be real, like always. Yeah. The economy is horrible. I don't care what people say on the TV. Our parents are working 2 jobs if they have a job, and they're looking for jobs. I could speak for my previous school in SISD, and I could speak for a school right now. Parents are having a hard time, and they don't have time to come to the campus to walk around, have coffee with us. So the time that they do have transitioning from one job to the other or whatever is this. Our parents on Facebook, our fellow educators on Twitter, our kids on Instagram and TikTok. And so what are we putting out there to show the beauty that is our programs? And as the leader that sits in our chair, it's our job not only to brand the success, but also promote the beautiful that is our students, our Jaguars. Insert your logo there. And as the leader of the campus sitting in that chair, we need to ensure that our kids' successes are projected from coast to coast around the globe, because you know what, we're doing beautiful things, and the only thing that media focuses on is the toxicity. It is our job to ensure that we brand that education is not dead, that we're not creating a bunch of pandemonium and anarchy places. No, it's a house of learning. We're creating the future leaders of America, and the job falls solely on the shoulders of administration to project the beautiful things that are out there. And you know what, if you put it out there, and every time you're greeting your kids or letting them go, they will smile at you. You know why? Because the kids and the parents know that you care. Because you know what? They see your work. They see your presence out at different places or the success of their kids. And they say, me siento a gusto. I feel comfortable with my child at that school. And you know what? A lot of people sit in our chair. Oh, I don't do that. Oh, I don't know how to do that. You know what? You're cheating your kids. It's not about you, leader. It's not about you. It's about promoting the beautiful things that are happening at your school. And shame on you if you're not promoting that kid that is going to MIT or that just barely graduated and is a child parent. Shame on you for not doing that, because that's why we get paid, to promote the beautiful things that are happening at our school. And I'm going to stick to that story.
Everyone has a story, and everyone should be celebrated in some capacity, from the bus drivers to the cafeteria workers to the custodians to the kids, anyone involved in a learning community. This has been a great session, guys. I really, really thank you so much. So we're in the red zone right now. We've got a couple minutes left to go. I'm gonna cast this question out to both of you guys, okay? From your vantage point right now, empowerment, if someone was coming to you and looking to get to the level where you're at, whether it's a high-level leadership in superintendency, principal, high school, it doesn't really matter. What would you tell them about what they should know about empowerment and how important it is? And Dr. Ramsey, why don't you go first?
Interesting that you want me to go first, because what I would say is that as the leader, go last. Don't insert your voice. Allow others to speak. Allow others to provide their ideas, and listen. Be a critical listener across the board. I agree with Adam 100%. Especially those of you out there that are aspiring to the superintendency. Be a part of that community. You don't have to be in a cabinet position to sit on a board, to be out there volunteering. Get out there, be a part of the community, and think outside of typical community and parental family engagement. I love, Dean, that you said, we do it on online so that they can join wherever we're at. I think just last piece is, remember that while we lead, it's important for us to listen and follow also. Just because we have an idea doesn't make it the best one. Check the ego and listen to others, and know that, you know what, a lot of the times your idea isn't the best idea. So if you just listen to those that are closest to the issue, listen to the children in our district, listen to our parents, the parent liaison idea came from a bus driver in our district. We're hiring hall monitors because we're having some issues with behavior post-COVID. That idea came from a custodian. So listening to those that know what they're talking about, humble yourself, and you're all going to be better off for it.
Remove the ego, build consensus, use your resources. Adam.
I just don't speak as well as Dr. Ramsey. So whatever I say is not going to sound as good, but listen is key. But I can't just leave it at that, right? I mean, I'm a guest on a show, so we have to talk more, right? This is a talk show. So I think that is extremely important to make sure that we continue to invest in ourselves so that we are available for people as well. It's in my opinion, it's difficult to coach if I don't have something behind me in order to steer them or to lead them in a certain direction. So as leaders, we need to continue to hit the books. And boy, technology. So Josh is right. Using these things, we can continually, I have a half-hour commute. It's some of the best time of my day. In the morning, I listen to stuff, whether it's a podcast, a book on tape, whatever it is, I'm listening to that. On the way home, it might be just Garth Brooks on repeat, so it depends on the frame of mind, but we have to prepare ourselves so that we can coach each other and listen and then coach and steer from what we're hearing. It's a skill that takes a long time to develop. I've been married for 27 years this spring, or this summer, so I think I'm doing a good job at listening because I'm still here. I'm getting better at it. I'm far from an expert, but I think other leaders, maybe you guys, do you ever feel like you're just sitting there, you're hearing it, and you want to say, yeah, I know exactly what you should do. Yeah, do this. But that's not good. So I got to keep listening and listening and listening. And sometimes the process takes longer than that, but I think the solutions end up being longer than that too then. So listen is key. So thanks, Dr. Angela, for guiding that whole discussion.
I can tell you this much. I've been in administration now for over 20 years. When I first started, I didn't listen well. I tried to do everything. I was seeing burnout quickly. After my 20th year, I am a great listener. And what I do is I try to take everybody's voice into what we're going to try to do. And if you do that, you know what? You spare yourself, but you also build consensus and you build trust and you build that collaborative practice that is essential for any building to work. And it's okay. You got to start thinking about your legacy because we're not going to be here forever. And that legacy is what we're going to pass on. And that, if that's strong systems and strong core values and beliefs of things that make kids great or on the path to greatness, how do you debate that?
Yep.
You can't counter that. Josh?
Oh, you can't debate it when you're listening to the Principal Leadership Lab podcast early in the morning, like I do. Highly suggested. Very good podcast. There's these two guys that I know that they're, so I highly suggest the Principal Leadership Lab. But yeah, you know what, Dean? It's been a great 45 minutes here tonight with all these ideas. It's always a refresher for me. We always need to remember and reflect, oh, you know what? I screwed up on that this week. Those are the kind of aha moments we need to have. So it's crucial that not only are we empowering other people around us, but ourselves as reflective moments. And we use all of this free PD, such as this podcast, the Principal Leadership Lab, whatever it might be, to, reflect on our practices, because this new chapter in education has totally changed all of us. We're not thinking anymore 2019. There's a brand new level of education now. All right, with new variables and new pitfalls that are affecting all of us. And it's crucial that we're always sharpening our tools for success, because ultimately it's our students. And to me, I want to thank Adam. Thank you very much for being here tonight. Dr. Ramsey, muchas gracias. Muchos saludos. And I learned a lot about you today, that you were in Socorro District before. I'm going to have to talk to you later on. But you know what, Dean? It's great things happening here as leaders. And you know what? Don't forget about Sunday. Unlock the Middle, 7 p.m. Eastern. And we got Principal Ra, who's establishing a brand new protocol. Talk about thinking out of the box and preparing his kids for the actual new economy. He is presenting crypto. He's presenting NFTs to his students. You ask most of our team members in our school, they have no idea what that is.
The metaverse.
Huh?
The metaverse.
The metaverse. He's going to be talking to all of us about that. So, hey, leaders out there, if you want a 101 on that, join us. 7 p.m. Eastern.
Sunday night.
Unlock the Middle. Sunday night. Unlock the Middle. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for being here. And I think we scored another touchdown in the red zone.
Another touchdown. You're absolutely right.
Everybody.
Guys, thank you very much. Hold on, everybody, if you could, 1 minute. Have a great week, everyone. Keep working hard to be the best you can be out there. Take care now.